Hello, and welcome back to the Sideline Debrief. It's Jamie here, joined once again by my sidekick and co-conspirator Ethan Taylor, and we're here this week, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a different style. Past couple, or ever since we really started doing the episode, we've kind of just reviewed the weekend, talked about current events in the world of football mainly, and hitting other sports like F1, NBA. I don't think NFL, but just other sports here and
We had a
there.
we had a couple
Um,
NFL bits, but that was really it.
Yeah, and not much.
Yeah,
I think we touched on the Super Bowl,
yeah.
and you didn't even know who Jalen Hurts was. So we're going to go back to football again because that seems to be our specialty, and that's what we know the most about. And instead of talking about this weekend's results, um,
Really, just because we're
be
depressed with their own teams. So
sick of them. And
yeah,
this weekend, there's not too much to talk about. Arsenal slipping up in the title race is a talking point, but I'm sure we're going to have lots of opportunity to talk about that throughout the
oh
rest of the
yeah.
season.
I'm
With
sure it's been talked about infinitely times too
yeah,
by others.
so we decided we want to do something different, and we were going to rank the Premier League this time. Excuse me. We're going to rank the entire Premier League based on squad quality at the end of the winter transfer window. So if the season were to begin at the summer, but the winter squads were already set, how would we rank all the teams and how would we have guessed it? Basically, we're ranking the squads.
We're ranking the
Not by squad
squads as
value, but what
if
we
the
think
January
by.
transfer window was in the summer. Take away the January transfer window.
Exactly. So we're gonna go. This first episode, we're gonna run up from 20 to 11 with the bottom half of the table, so the worst half of the teams in the Premier League, and then we're gonna hit the top half on the next one, and we're gonna explain our reasoning for each one as we go. But
Excuse me.
yeah, bless you.
Thank you.
So I think I covered all. Did I miss anything?
No, that's exactly what we're
No.
doing.
All right, cool. So I guess we'll start at the bottom. Here
Jamie
I'm
will
kind
be,
of
yeah, Jamie will be
taking the
taking the
lead,
lead, and then I'll
the
have my,
master list man.
yeah. All right, take us away.
All right, so I have one an Inter shirt to seem impartial, right? But
I'm
we all
wearing a lead
know
shirt just
my
after the
impartiality.
6-1 thrashing from Liverpool
Yeah.
after we got a 5-1 thrashing, both at home from
So
Palace.
if for some reason Liverpool is 20th on Ethan's list,
I
we
can
know
tell you
why.
it's not going to be in this one. I'll tell you, it won't be in this.
All right, so 20th, I have started with the team who are currently 20th in the Premier League because I think this is a squad that's been stale. It's needed a lot of investment, and a lot of investment hasn't really worked out. I picked Southampton. You look at Southampton, and you look at their team, and there really aren't many regular Premier League faces you can recognize anymore. They're a really young team because that's what the Chinese owners have kind of gone ahead and done. They've tried to buy really young talent, and a lot of that young talent needs a bit of time to develop. And without those senior players in the squad anymore, outside of Ward Prowse and Romeo in the middle and Ben Urach at the back, it's young guys. And I say Kyle Walker Peters too. It's
Yeah,
young, unproven guys. And because of that, the squad quality, I think, is last on this list.
yeah, and I will say I also put Southampton at the very bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We did not tell each other the
No, this is a surprise to both of us.
surprise for both of us. But it is not a surprise that we both put Southampton at the very bottom, to
No.
say the least. But everything we say to each other, we have not discussed
Yeah, these
prior.
lists have not been compared. These have
Yeah,
been compiled separately.
yeah.
So I mean, the only other place I might have put Southampton is one above. I did think about changing at the last moment, but after through the squads, I think Bournemouth have just a better team. Um, you probably have them in
I have
19 too.
Bournemouth at 19 as well.
Yeah, they are. I would say easily the two weakest squads in the Premier League. Although Bournemouth are doing really well with what they have, they have 10
Not
more
because
points
of
than.
players, though, I will say.
I wouldn't even say the coach.
I wouldn't say
I
the coach.
think
I would say how the club is ran. That's how I
they
would say
once
it.
again they have a lot of young players, but they've also bought older players to supplement those younger
Yeah.
players. Something that Southampton have not done. For example, in the goal, Neto, a Barcelona keeper, Sensi in the middle, who was the captain at Feyenoord, who were in the Europa Conference League final last year. Those are high quality players that you look at Southampton and you don't really see that.
Yeah.
Ward Prowse compares to them, right? Ward
Ward
Prowse has
Prowse
never played
is,
in Europe.
I mean, To be quite honest, though, Ward Prowse is amazing at free kicks, but bang average everything else. I will say, maybe
Hmm.
even less
I
than
wouldn't say
average.
bang average.
I
He's close to the England team. He's definitely their best player.
he's
He
no,
get
he
in the
is
most.
definitely Southampton's best player, but besides
Yeah,
passing and free kicks, I feel like he hasn't provided anything for that
no,
Southampton
and
squad.
yeah, it's not enough. And I think you just look along that Bournemouth team. They have a bunch of young players who are not as young as Southampton and are showing a little bit more, and even more to the fact, more to the point up top. They have players like Solanke, who I think are better than all Southampton strikers. So
Yeah,
you would agree?
I would agree. I have both Southampton and Bournemouth, same lineup as
Okay,
yours.
perfect. So I kind of have this grouped into four sections. That's kind of how I saw it.
I
And there are
personally
two other.
had just it's going to be cut up between video, but it was easiest for me to
Mm,
go like 1 through 7, then 8 to 12 was the hardest to rank, then
mm,
13th to 20th was tough, but it's always the mid table that is the
yeah.
toughest to rank. But yeah, I also had them grouped
For
separately.
me, I had 1 through 7, 8 through 11, and then 12 through 16, and then 17 through 20th. And then in the relegation zone of the third worst team in the Premier League, I would have to go with Leeds United.
Oof.
I
Okay,
I think
this
you're
is where
probably
we
going to have them
differ.
higher. Yep.
Not much
First
higher, not much higher at
separation.
all. But
I would put Leeds here because they have a few quality players. They've got played somewhere else in Europe. You've got Rodri, you got Rodrigo, sorry, Sinistera, McKennie. Um,
Vober,
but that's where my problem starts. I look at that back line, and that
yes,
back
it is the
line
back line. It is the back line.
is is not Premier League quality, not even close to Premier League
Besides
quality.
one, besides
Center back,
Vober, besides one center
yeah,
back, I will agree that we are not Premier League quality in the back.
I would argue backup at Bournemouth. I'd argue Coach is a backup at Southampton. Right. I think you guys have the worst center backs in the Prem. I think your right
Yeah,
backs, both of them aren't good enough. I like Ailing. You like Christensen. They're both not
I
good
no,
enough.
I dislike
Verpo,
both of them. I dislike
yeah,
both of them, but I prefer one over the other.
Verpo is, he's just not good
Yeah,
enough. And then Straub, I think Straub could be backup at a few teams, but
it's a
at the end of the day, he's not good enough.
yeah.
And
I
I
mean
look at
Vober.
that, and then I look at Bamford's form this season, the player he really is outside of that 1 year. I just don't I can't rank them any higher considering how good and how much prestige the rest of the teams have in their
I will
players.
say, for a lead side, Vober's the only thing defensive we have. He improves the ability of other players, but that only is him. Without him,
Yeah.
they're bad. Attacking though, I will say we have a better attacking threat than some of the bottom 15 teams or bottom 5 teams. But it is the defense. I can see why you put us at 18th. But it is
Mm-hmm.
only really the defense that brings us back. But attacking wise, if it was just based on attacking, Leeds could possibly get a 13th or 14th place team. But obviously, defense drags us down tremendously.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I can see that. I can see that.
Mm-hmm. So
I
who did you
just
have at 18?
18th. I had Everton.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I
I
got a
I
little bit
just
higher.
haven't really seen anything from this team. I mean, ever since Lampard left, Sean Dyche has just
Mm-hmm.
played. Well, we're not talking about coaching. I have to remember this.
Mm-hmm.
They just only know how to play defense. It feels, and honestly, their defense still isn't that good.
So the
So,
opposite of Leeds.
no, it's a little better than Leeds, not the opposite,
Well,
because they still don't play
I
defense that good. Save where you put Everton.
yeah, I
Save where
will.
you put.
I will.
But I just have Everton at 18th because attacking quality, they honestly have a 19th or 20th place.
Mm-hmm.
And defensively, they maybe have a 17th place or 16th place team defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put him 18th just to balance that out. I don't see really anything special about this team. Um,
Okay.
that's really all I got.
We'll jump into Everton a little more in a second. I'm interested to see who you have at 17th, just above the relegation zone. I got a feeling we got the same team.
Who did you put?
I went with Nottingham
I
Forest.
did the exact same thing.
So they're such a weird team because it's so new. All of it is.
Yeah.
But I think I might even convince myself based on the way I'm about to describe their team that they should be higher. But I think
And I
since
think
the
I might have a
squad's
way
so new,
to. I know what you're gonna say, and I'm gonna say that you should be in the right place. So don't put it higher.
yeah.
What you're about to say.
So you look at the back, you have Champions League winning goalkeeper multiple times, Keylor Navas, who just came over from PSG. You have Felipe and Lodi in the midfield, who just got signed from Atletico Madrid. On the other side of defense, at right back, you have Serge Aurier, who played many years for PSG and Spurs. In the midfield, you have to. This is where it doesn't hold up as well. But in the midfield, let me pull up their squad
Yeah,
because I don't
because
want to
just going along
misremember
with
names.
that, that you're bringing up players that played for other teams,
Mm.
and you say that, but Leeds had the same thing. We have players that came from really good teams, from Bayern, Barcelona, Feyenoord.
But they weren't Keylor Navas.
They
They
weren't
weren't
Kaylor. No,
Felipe and Lodi, who were starting every game for Atletico.
yes, you Kaylor Navas is a little different, I will say. He obviously is the best compared to everybody in both teams. But
Mm.
just throwing out players that come from other teams, yes, they could have been regulars, but it doesn't mean they were their best players.
No,
So,
I
but
just
just
think that
going
Nottingham Forest squad's better. I think that
No,
we
no,
talk
I
about the
agree.
def.
I agree that
Hmm?
they're. No, actually, I don't agree because I have Leeds a little
Yeah, because you
higher.
don't.
Um,
Um, and then I mean, I look at it. You know, the fact I saw their team this weekend. They had John Joe Shelby on the bench. They had Jesse Lingard on the bench. Those are players who I think would start out of Southampton and Bournemouth. I think of Jesse Lingard would start a little bit at Leeds, and he's not getting any game time for Forest. And yeah, I just think they've done a really good job at building this team. I just think, or from what it was, and I just think they've done. Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
just
mean,
think they're a slightly better team than Leeds,
I
but they're
put
in
them.
that same bracket.
Yeah, I put them at 17th because they signed 26 new players, 27 including Navas, and
Mm.
they have so many players that honestly, I think the level of all of them has been brought down by the amount of players that they have been brought in. There's too much competition that I feel like you just can't really get better or stay consistent because
That's a coaching thing. That's not a squad quality thing.
I know. Let me finish. Coaching aside, you have 26 players and only 11 can play. Players get rotated. It doesn't matter which ones do. Coach determines that, but doesn't even matter by the coach. There's so many different starting 11s. You can put like three starting 11s out of everybody that they have, and there's just consistency. All those players aren't getting consistent minutes, besides maybe a few. So they're just going to be rusty throughout the entire season, I feel. And they have been rusty throughout the entire season, was what I felt like, because the quality is just not there. And that's why I put them at 17th, because there's just too many players to get quality minutes.
Okay, interesting argument. I think the other way around, having a big squad like that helps you, especially when injuries hit, and the fact that you have so many players who can fill in and change a lot.
Yeah.
Keeps it fresh, but also I see what you could mean. So that was my that leads above the bar. Um,
So who did you put at 16th?
I was about to talk about 16th. I really hope you put Leeds at 16th because I put Everton at 16th.
I did put Leeds at 16th.
Okay, so we can kind of compare and contrast here.
Yes.
This is kind of what I was looking for. So I would put Everton at 16th. They've been in the Premier League forever. They've literally been in the Premier League the entire time, and because of that, they have Premier League quality players for the most part. There is a
Okay.
large chunk of that team that I believe isn't good enough for their Prem anymore. But you know, if I'm comparing them directly to Leeds, I'm starting in goal
Defensively,
again.
starting in goal. Starting in goal, yes.
Mm-hmm. Pickford's better,
Yes,
obviously.
I agree.
I look at the back: James Tarkowski, Connor Cody, Ben Godfrey. Those are good
I
center
would
backs.
only
James,
argue that Vober comes at least tied for second, not the best center back out of the back of them. But Vober would,
yeah,
I think Vober would still make Everton starting center back.
I don't think so. Not under Sean Dyche,
Not under Sean
but
Dyche, but
and
that's
Michael Keane
yeah.
and Michael Keane. And
Michael
then
Keane, I honestly think is rubbish, but that's just a personal opinion of mine.
I thought so too until he scored a banger against Spurs.
Oh,
But
That's
and
separate.
dropped a masterclass.
Yeah.
That's a separate thing. Um, in your fullbacks, you got Seamus Coleman, who's been
I don't want
very
to describe
reliable.
fullbacks. Everton win.
Yeah, and I just think Mikolenko, I actually really like him as a player. I really rate him. Yerry Mina, another center back. And then I look forward. I love Onana. I think Onana's a fabulous player. I think that's something that Leeds
What
can't
position
really
does he?
compare.
Is he
Center midfield.
center midfield? I would rate.
I think he's better than
So
Adams
this
and
is
McKennie
players
and
all
Roca.
healthy too, I believe. So formations are obviously different.
Yeah,
So with Leeds, we have two center defensive mids and a healthy team. And honestly, I would take Tyler Adams. I think Tyler Adams is would be the best player at Everton. I'm not kidding. Passing wise, he is not great, but he doesn't run out of stamina. You're gonna laugh at me. If Tyler Adams was at Everton, even many commentators while he was playing said he should be on a Champions League team. He could leave Leeds, not be a starter for a Champions League team, but a backup. What
he's
play?
not better than Onana though.
What player would you say at Everton would be a backup at a Champions League team?
Onana would start on a Champions League team. He was playing for Monaco last season.
And there's a reason he's at Everton now. At what?
He was bought for
18th.
40 million.
18th.
There's a reason why Tyler Adams is at Leeds.
And we're 16th.
Not for long.
Hey, but we are
Not
at
for long.
16th. And I
Okay.
honestly would rate McKennie, too, not over Onana, but at a somewhat similar level as Onana coming from Juventus. You want to rate Monaco? I have a player from Juventus I can throw right back at you.
Okay. I just think Onana is a fabulous player.
Okay, I know
And
I
then
agree he is. I'm just saying. But go
I
on.
think Iwobi's good. He offers something completely different. Um, and then I like the fact that players like this is where, and then they have Idrissa Gana Gueye, who is another really good player in that midfield.
I
But
would
like you said, be it
personally. I'm not going to put Aronson on this list. Um, Roca provides something different. How he track. He's not fast, but he tracks back and he can dish balls with his left foot. He's great at passing. And I don't know if you want to. We play Nanto in the midfield as like a cam. He can score absolute screamers. And
hey, okay, I would have the entire Everton defense over Leeds's.
okay,
I would have Onana and let's go with Tyler Adams, right? Then I'd have your three attacking midfielders, and then I have Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
I would take Rodrigo over Calvert Lewin.
Rodrigo would be the cam.
Rodrigo will be our striker. Rodrigo has
Well,
scored 11 goals this season so
see
far.
this is just where we disagree, right?
It is
I
where we
just think
disagree. I would take Everton's defense and Leeds' offense, but I think Leeds' offense just barely out. It's
it'd be
just
the
barely
15th best
better.
team in the Prem.
We would be the 15th best team in the Prem. I think just Leeds' offense is a little better than Everton's defense.
Okay. And I think the Everton's offense is a little bit better than Leeds' defense. So it's
Everton
close, right?
can't
We're talking
score
about
though.
fine margins here,
Everton
though.
cannot score.
You guys can't stop a nosebleed.
We can't stop a nosebleed, but we can score.
Everton have scored a bunch recently, I'm pretty sure. Or like they were scoring in games recently.
All right, never. We can't go on this same rank for too long.
Yes,
So
yes.
let's go
All
to
right, this is
15th.
moving
15th.
15th. I, I think we might have the same one here. Fulham.
Yep.
I picked Fulham at 15th.
I also
I
did.
like their squad. I think at this point you're really talking about teams that are really solidified in the Prem. I think these bottom six are probably the worst six sides, excluding one Leicester, who we haven't talked about yet. But I think these bottom six are the worst six sides in terms of quality. Fulham's come up; they've been great. I think they've been absolutely fantastic. They play
Polina has
great
absolutely
football.
been devastating in the midfield.
Polina, Tim Green has been great at the back. Anthony Robinson, Kenny
Yeah.
Tete, excellent in the back. Leno starting Arsenal goalkeeper. And then up top you got the likes of William Mitrovic. I'm forgetting one now. Oh, the Solomon, Mano Solomon,
You
who's
say
had a great
Willian?
season too.
You say Willian?
I did say William Andreas Pereira,
Yep.
Bobby Reed, Daniel James, someone who for some
Daniel
reason couldn't
James
make
that
it.
for some reason we loaned out to Fulham.
Yep. Hey, he scored against Everton this weekend, so he's helping you out.
He's helped. Yes,
Um, Issa Diop, a former West Ham starter. I just think they've got a very good team.
I agree.
And it's well built,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So I don't think you're gonna have anything about that. I don't
No.
think they deserve to go any higher because they haven't been in the Premier League, but
Yeah.
they're
All
better
right.
than the it's a well built team.
Keep it short with
Okay,
that.
cool.
All right. Moving on to 14th.
Yep. I think we were gonna have the same one again. It's gonna be one of the two, I think. Number 14, I thought I'd put them higher, but after really looking through their team, 14th, I put Leicester.
14th. I put Wolves.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I thought Wolves would be lower, but after I looked at it, let's go 13, 12, and then we'll finish up the episode debating these three.
Okay.
14th, I put Leicester.
Okay.
13th, I put
I
Palace.
put Palace as well.
12, I put
13th.
Wolves.
I put Palace 13th. 12th Leicester.
Okay, so we can debate
We can
these.
debate these. Yes.
Yes, perfect. And then we'll cut the episode here and do 11 through 8 after this. So I would put Leicester in 14th. They've been in the Premier a long time. There's a lot of rot in the team. And that
I
is what
agree.
I looked at when I looked at Leicester because I thought I'd be putting top 10. But I really took a look at their team, and they've got 4 or 5 excellent world class players. But otherwise, it's a bunch of players
That's
who,
really the only reason I put them 12th because not many other teams have 4 or 5 world class players in this bottom 10.
mm, yeah, I think that the other squads are a little more well rounded. Like,
Well
I look at
rounded,
that,
yes, but
yeah,
yeah.
in terms of squad, I look at the goalie, Danny Ward, should not be a starting Premier League goalkeeper. The defense, terrible, leaky. Sutar was signed from a championship team. Christensen was signed from Denmark. I like Christensen. I think he's good. I like a lot of fullbacks, but Ryan Bertrand, he was a good
Coming
Premier League
from a
player. Came
fullback.
there, can't do anything now. Yeah, that's why. Um, Johnny Evans, Soyeon Shu, they're not good enough. There's a reason why Soyeon Shu doesn't play anymore. He's not good enough. I
Yeah.
think Face is good, but the argument for Leicester being this high up on the list is Harvey Barnes, Tillemans, Vardy, Madison.
And it's just all attacking threats. That's, yeah.
So 4 fantastic
And
players.
I just think they're so good. That's why I
And
put them at
Ndidi.
12th. Yeah. I put
Mm-hmm.
them in 12th just because they're so good. Those
Mm-hmm.
few solid players that it was tough, but
Mm-hmm.
I put them there because Wolves, I feel, have again a few solid players because we're debating these three. We'll just hopscotch teams. Um,
Okay.
I just think Wolves, it's very confused. They're so inconsistent. I feel just the squad and how they perform, but honestly,
Mm-hmm.
it's just I can't really find the words to explain it. Um,
Why don't real quick? Why don't we just both say why you put Leicester 12th, and then I'll say like what helped you put Leicester 12th, and I'll say what helped me put Leicester at 14th.
okay,
Yeah, and then we can move on to Palace, and then we can hit Wolves.
all right, that's fair.
Okay.
So you go ahead first. Why'd you put Leicester at 14th?
Like I said, many good players, but then I look at this team and I see a lot of failed signings who they failed to get rid of and failed to really make work. And I don't think you see that much of rot in other Premier League teams. Um, just looking through real quick, Sumare, he was supposed to be brilliant. He's not done much. Ionzi Perez, out on loan. He hasn't done much. Dennis Pratt, he was supposed to be really good. Hasn't done much. Vestergaard signed for 20 million. Never gets used. Patson Daka, supposed to score a lot more than he has. Um, Iheanacho, they just never play him. Um, and then that defense, that Ryan Bertrand, the Soyonshu, the even Johnny Evans at 35. There's too many players that have been there too long that they need to shift on. We'll get
Yeah,
more to this dead weight when we get to the big teams too. That players just need to be shifted on, but they haven't, and I think that brings the entire squad down as a result. Because I look at Palace and Wolves, and I don't think they have that much raw.
yeah, that's fair. I put Leicester at 12th just because of the 5 world class players that they have, and they're so good
Mm-hmm.
that it's just like it's literally by a thread. It was again, I said the 8th to 12th, and like that whole area was so, and even to 14th was so hard to
Yeah, yeah,
pick. I just think they're so good, and they're
mm-hmm.
trying so hard for this team
Mm-hmm.
that I just had to put him at 12.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
think they're carrying the dead weight like one horse carrying a city. But like,
Mm.
yeah,
All right. Then in 13th, we both went with Palace. Palace were a tough one
they
to
were.
place, really, because we talk about the superstar players in Leicester, and then I talk about the rot. They don't have the rot, and they don't have the superstars.
They're
They
literally
do.
the most bang average team, but they're a little less than bang average.
Yeah, they know they're paying average.
Besides Zaha and God forbid Olise now after one game against Leeds
And Eze,
and Eze, but they're not world class.
no,
Like that was
they're young.
Olise's like breakthrough, I guess. Zaha's been consistently the only scoring player at Palace,
Mhm.
and Eze is inconsistent at times, and they're all so young.
I think you just look at this team, and I just don't think you can point to many weaknesses within the team. Even their goalkeepers, they have Guaita and Sam Johnstone and Butland when he comes back on loan. You look at the defense, you've got Anderson, you've got Gahey. Those are two good stalwart defenders, Premier League proven defenders. Right back, you got Nathaniel Klein, um, Joel Ward. You know, those are two hard nosed right backs. Left back, Tyreek Mitchell. He's going to punch you in the face. Ferguson, he's going to punch you in the face. They're just built to be Roy Hudson's team,
Yeah,
and then and they have depth everywhere. Um, Even at striker, they have Mateta, they have Edouard, and I'm missing one. Oh, Ayu on the wings, Olise as a Zaha. They're just a well built team, and I think there's a reason why they've stayed in the Prem so long, and they've really transitioned well out of this old team feel into this younger team feel. Good job. So
yeah, I
13th,
completely agree. Same
yeah.
thoughts.
Not sure how Roy Hudson relates with them, but
Yeah,
and then 12 Wolves, the last one on this half of the episode. I have them a bit higher than you. Um,
just a tad. It's nothing crazy, but
so why don't we start with you on this one? Why 14th?
I put 14th because there's just so many inconsistencies that go along with all the players. It's not just like one player is always good. Besides Neves, I think Neves has always consistently done something for this team.
Hmm.
But and then even the new signing, Mateus Cunha, um, who was supposed to do great things at Atletico Madrid, I believe he was at last.
Yeah,
He's done okay, nothing great. Um, I'm blanking so hard on Wolves. They're the most bland team. I'm sorry. This list for me. Who was their keeper again? Jose Sa.
Saw.
Sa. Very inconsistent. I just don't know what to say, but I think he's very inconsistent with how he
I think he's
plays.
better than Leicester's keeper.
I agree. It's just the
I
reason.
you know what? You know what this is going to come down to? You are going to rate Leicester's attack higher than you're going to rate defense.
Honestly, no. That's not why I rated them 14th. I rated them 14th out of every single players besides one or two ability to stay consistent.
Okay.
Every player on that team has the ability to be like an eighth place Premier League team, and none of them want to do it at the same time. To the point where they are so bad this season, and
Yeah,
that's really just the only. It's just inconsistencies. That's the only reason I have them this low.
I think the only reason why they've been struggling as much as they have, I don't think there's rot in the team. I think they just need a striker. Every
Yeah,
striker they sign fails. It's
yeah,
like Chelsea, because you see the way this team's built. Very Portuguese, of course, but you have Saw in goal, who I think is better than all the goalkeepers we've mentioned so far on his day. Um, Center backs, you've got Max Kilman, Nathan Collins, and Craig Dawson, three hard nosed Brexit defenders who take care back. Left back, you've got Ike Nori, who I think is going to be good sometimes. I'm not sure what he's doing. Right back, Semedo, bought from Barcelona. You know, that's high quality. I know you can say bought from whatever, but
yeah,
they attract good players. Up top, you got Cunha, you got Sarabia, both playing for Atletico Madrid and PSG and Sporting last year. You got Adama Traore, who was just playing for Barcelona last year. Wang Hee-chan playing for Leipzig. Podence, I think, is good. And I think Pedro Neto, when he fully gets back to his form pre ACL, he's an excellent player. And for all those reasons and all the young guys they brought recently, if they had a striker like Jamie Vardy, if they had a one
It
playmaker
doesn't
like
even,
James Madison,
yeah, it doesn't even need to be a world class striker. If they just have
yeah,
even
like no, not Palace. What's a team we mentioned so far that has a good striker?
so far, Mitrovic,
And
a
you,
Mitrovic,
if they had Mitrovic,
yeah,
they would be like they'd be way above Chelsea. That's not
that's
saying much, but they'd
that's not
probably
saying
be
much.
10th.
Yeah, they
They'd
would be
probably be like
so
10th.
much better. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think that's why I put them 12th because I think that's all they're missing, just a striker. If they lose Ruben Neves, I think they fall a bit.
yeah.
But that's why I have them at 12.
All right. So shall we move on to the next episode, next few
Yeah.
teams? All
We'll
right.
move on. This one was 12th through 20th. Wolves and Leicester down to Southampton.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah, next one we'll do 1 through 11.